This is brought to you by the Alumni Association of PISJ-ES.
Hey guys, we'll now be continuing the topic that we earlier talked about, which was scalars and vectors, and generally speaking, kinematics. So this lecture would be about the difference between speed and velocity. So first of all, we'll start with speed and its counterpart, velocity. The unit of speed and velocity is meters per second. Now, I'm introducing a formula right now for speed, velocity, and time that relates the three of them, which is distance is equals to velocity into time. This is displacement, this is velocity, and this is time. So displacement is equals to velocity into time. So now you can just, if you want the displacement, you can just multiply velocity and time. If you want velocity, then you can simply switch the formula and it will be displacement divided by time. And if you want time, you can simply use displacement over velocity. So this is a formula. Sometimes people make this triangle. Remember this formula. Displacement, velocity, and time. Cover the one that you want to find, and the rest would be given. For example, if you cover this one, if you want to find displacement, just cover this one. This will give you velocity times time. Cover this one. If you want to find time, it will give you displacement divided by velocity. Cover this one again, and you will get displacement divided by time. This is a thumb rule for kinematics. You should always remember this one formula, and you should always know how to change the subject. Okay, so if I ask you, what is speed? Speed is simply the rate of change of distance. This means that speed is essentially the change in distance in some amount of time. For example, if I ran 45 kilometers in 1 hour, I would say that my speed is simply 45 kilometers divided by 1 hour. In a 1 hour, I ran 45 kilometers. So my speed becomes 45 kilometers per hour. That I covered a distance of 45 kilometers in a time of an hour. Now, if you ask me how much distance would you cover in 2 hours, I would simply say that if I covered 45 kilometers in 1 hour, I might just cover 90 kilometers, simply ratio method, and you would find 45 into 2 would give you 90 kilometers. So this gives you a basic idea of what speed is. Speed is simply the rate of change of distance. Change in the distance divided by the change in time. And what do we mean by velocity now? Velocity is rate of change of displacement. So again, because of displacement, the direction becomes of importance. The rate of change of displacement. This word rate means that The change in displacement, this entire thing will be divided by time. Rate, whenever you see rate, you should always understand that time is being introduced here. So velocity again has the same formula, distance divided by time. It has the same formula, but the direction is of importance. Let me give you one very brief example for the same thing. For example, this is my original position, and I move a distance here, 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 and I come back here. This is 5 meters, this is 2 meters, this again is 7 meters, this is 2 meters, and this makes it 2 meters. Now I ask you to find me the speed. So what you do is you calculate the distance for it, because we know speed is distance over time. So what you do is you calculate the distance first. The distance is, as we have calculated, it was 18 meters for the same situation earlier. And I tell you that you travel this distance in a time of 30 seconds, for example. Just take an example. So the time is 30 seconds. So if I ask you to calculate the speed would be 18 over 30. 18 divided by 30, which makes it, if you use your calculator, this would make it 9 over 15 meters per second. So you can just take the decimal value. I don't have a calculator here with me, so I'm just leaving it to the fraction. So it is 9 over 15 meters per second. So fair enough. But if I ask you for the same situation here, the original position, 5 meters, 2 meters, 7 meters, 2 meters, and 2 meters. 5, 2, 7, 2, and 2. If I ask you for the same situation, the velocity. So mind you, you should always remember velocity is displacement over time. So this is displacement over time. So what is the displacement? As we have already seen, the displacement is 0. The time was 30 seconds again. As we have already seen, the displacement was 0. So the velocity is simply 0 divided by 30, which makes it 0 meters per second. So the velocity is depending on displacement. Since there is no displacement, there is no velocity. Let me take another example. Let me change the color because it's been a very long time. For example, this is the point O, and I move till here, and then again I cover this distance again. So I cover this once and I cover this one distance. This is again the same thing. 5, 2, 7, 2, and 5. In say 10 seconds. Makes it simpler. Okay, obviously. So this is a faster guy. So let's see. Let's find the speed. The speed is distance over time. So what is the distance that we have covered? It's 5 plus 2 plus 7 plus 2 plus 5 and plus 5. So this is 18 plus 5, which is 23 meters. Now the time is 10 seconds, which makes it 23 over 10 according to the formula. The distance over time gives us speed. This will give me 2.3 meters per second. However, if I ask you to tell me the velocity of this person, so you will first find out the displacement, because the formula says displacement over time. For the displacement, always remember that we look at the final position and the initial position. So from the initial position, the person has run only 5 meters on the right, although he must have been circling around here and there, but that we don't care about that. All we care about is the final position. So the final position tells us that he is 5 meters to the east of the initial position. So our displacement is 5 meters. Our velocity would be 5 meters divided by 10 seconds. So this is 5 meters per second to the right. Because this is velocity, this is of vital importance. The direction is of vital importance. So guys, I hope you understood the difference between speed and velocity. This is very important. We will be doing more examples in the videos that I make after these. So stay tuned to it, and thanks for watching, guys.